So this will eventually go on YouTube. This is round 1 of the tournament I played on Saturday, the Parma Open in the under 1600 section. Played against this guy named Steven. He's 1550. He was like one of the higher rated guys in the section. My rating's still 1446. And yeah, let's do it. So I played e4, he played e5. Wait, I have the black piece. Let me flip the board. So he played knight f3, I played knight c6, he played bishop c4. And I think the title of the YouTube video is going to be Gambit over the board, or I'm going to abbreviate it OTB, because I played my Gambit. I played f5, which is kind of a horrible move. Kind of a horrible move. But it's not supposed to be sound, so you're not supposed to be able to play this over the board in like a classical game. The time control is 45 minutes with a 5-second delay. So in theory, you're not supposed to be able to play this move and get away with it. But he blundered right away. He played knight c3, which just loses on the spot, basically. Because I just take it, he takes back, and then I have a fork. So basically, I just won a pawn for free. So he decided to do this, which is just bad. I've had this happen to me before, where they think that they're winning because they don't see that when the queen comes and checks that I can just block it. So I obviously just took it. He checked, and now I'm just up a clean piece. He decided to trade the queens off, which I thought was a horrible. I thought that was a horrible idea. I thought he should just take with the bishop. But he decided to trade queens, even though he's down a piece, which doesn't make much sense. But he actually fought very hard and had some chances to get back in this game, which I'm not happy about. I don't think I played the best. Like, this should just be so easy for me because I'm up a whole piece and the queens are off. But he does have like a really big lead in development, and this bishop is a monster on this diagonal. So it's not as simple as it looks, but I played c6, which is not a good move. For some reason, I think it's because this pawn, like, currently my bishop protects this pawn, so I think it just wants me to like develop. Like, I forget. Let me throw the lines up real quick, because I forget what it wanted me to play. Knight f4. Yeah, so it wants me to play knight f4 and just hit this bishop and threaten this check. Which is definitely good. Definitely better than what I played. So c6. c6 isn't horrible, though. Like, it still says I'm winning after c6, but I like really didn't want... So I played c6 when I did, because I didn't want this bishop... Like, just picture if this knight moves. I didn't want his bishop, like, just sitting on this diagonal. I wanted it to go this way, because I wanted to go queenside. Is kind of where I wanted to castle with my king, which is actually what happened. I think I did end up castling queenside. So he goes back, right? He goes back. And then, yeah, so I just hit the knight. He protected it. I don't want to play knight f6 and allow him to mess with my structure, even though I probably should, because I'm just up a piece. I played bishop e7, which is like one of the engine's top moves. He castled. I castled long. And then he hit my bishop. He moved back and hit my bishop. And I probably should just go back, but I was stubborn. I went here, and I thought that, like, if I could get him to move the pawns around his king, that eventually, if my bishops can get on these two diagonals, that he would have some real problems. Like, if I can get my rooks out. So I kind of, like, did that on purpose. It's not that I didn't see it. I just thought that it was a good move. Bishop e3. And he's basically threatening to take this pawn, so I just played king d8, which is a good move. And then he played knight h5, which I was not expecting. And I sat here and thought for a really long time. I thought for a really long time, because he's hitting this pawn. He's definitely hitting this pawn. And, like, I can go bishop f6, but then I want to have the two bishops. I don't want to give up my bishop for one. And two, I think he can, like, maybe just take this knight and then, again, just kind of fuck with my pawn structure. So I actually sacked this g7 pawn. I just let him take it. which the engine actually agrees with. So I'm kind of proud of this move. Like I played knight f6 and I just kind of let him take it. And my idea was I was just gonna immediately play knight d5 and just blunt the bishop on this diagonal, which is the engine's top line. So he actually made a bad move here. He played bishop d2, but I'm not actually planning on taking this bishop at all. Like in no way, shape, or form do I want to open this at, like, not even a little bit. So I thought bishop d2 was a really bad move, which kind of gave me some chances. And then I played bishop f6 and hit his knight again, and he played knight h5. And here I had to think for a really long time again, because I have the option to take this pawn, or I can leave it there. The problem is if I take this pawn, I give him this open line, and even though I'm up a piece, like, it can get kind of dangerous, that's actually what I did. Like, I was either going to play bishop e5 right away, or I was going to take the pawn, the rook moves, and then bring it back. And the reason I chose to take the pawn is he already has he has 3 pawns for the piece right now. So I only have 4 pawns. He has 7. So if I don't take that pawn right now and he somehow defends it, maybe he just plays rook b1. Sometimes in some endgames, 3 pawns for a piece is actually like holdable. And sometimes it can even be winning. Like, just picture this 3-on-1 on the king side. Like, if he can get his rooks and then his king is behind those pawns are going to be really hard to stop. So I ended up taking this, which the engine agrees with, but you'll see later in the game, I do run into a lot of issues on this diagonal. Like, a lot of issues. So I feel like maybe the practical choice, even though the engine says it was good to take this pawn, I feel like I maybe shouldn't have. Like, let's just see what the lines say. Hold on, let me turn the lines on again. What if I just play bishop e5? So it says I'm like -1. So yeah, it says I'm like, if he plays perfectly, he might be able to hold a draw. But I should still be winning. I just feel like this gives him too much counterplay. I don't know. I have a lesson with my coach tomorrow to see. I'll have to ask him about that, because I'm still like, it's unclear to me if this was a good move. Like, if taking this was a good move or not. But we did it. So we went back to e5. I actually should have went to d4. The problem is I wanted him to play f4, which is what he played, and then I get a check in. But the problem is, like, this pawn gives him a lot of play. So the engine wanted me to just play bishop d4 right away, which, like, whatever. So I get the check. I play rook f8. It was a good move. And then he took. I don't think he should have taken that. Like, this piece is the only thing that's, like, giving him any kind of play. So, I mean, he waited until I moved the rook, because, like, I had this dilemma, right? Like, my ideal configuration is I want my rooks on the f and g file. But the problem is, if I try to put a rook on the g file, this knight is pinned forever. So I opted to put it on the f file. So now that I can't do that, now he takes the knight, which I guess he kind of took it in the best spot possible. But still, though, like, down a piece, I don't think you should trade off a bishop like that for a knight. And then I played... Yeah, he played g4, I played rook e8, and this is where I kind of started to go wrong and give him some chances. He played f5, and I should just go back. I didn't want to, though, because I was scared. I thought that if I go back to e7, that he just pushes, and it just gets really scary. Like, really, really scary. The engine is saying I can just play knight c6 and just be fearless, but, like... I don't know, man. That's sketchy. I'm not playing that. So I ended up playing knight h4, and then he attacked my knight, and I just gave the piece back for 2 pawns. And my evaluation of this position was that I was still winning, even though the material now is equal. I just thought that these bishops, like this guy, and like if I can somehow get this bishop on this diagonal, like, I'm just winning. Like, his king is just bad. The engine disagrees with me, but I think, objectively speaking, this is probably winning for black, unless you're playing like a grandmaster or something. This would be very hard to hold. So I guess my evaluation was a little inaccurate. I just thought that my bishops were going to be so good that I was still winning, even though I gave the material back. So he played rook b4, and I missed a tactic here. I saw it, but I thought it didn't work. So I need to work on my calculation, because the tactic is pretty good. If anybody's in the chat, what would you play in this position if you're black? If you're black to move right now, what would you play? Anybody have any moves? Any moves in mind? Black to play and win the game. Just win the game on the spot. If you're watching on YouTube, pause the video. It's a pretty easy move to spot, but if you really like start to look at what white plays, it's hard to see how it works. It's kind of easy to spot, but it's hard to see that it works. At least for me, because I kind of disregarded it, because I thought it wasn't working. But in actuality, it was very working. All right. So I didn't play this, but the move is bishop e4. And the reason that I didn't play this is because I thought that after this, well, I thought he could just take it, right? Take it, takes, and king here. And I immediately, like, in my head, I dismissed it. Saints Whiskers. What up, Steve? That's Steven. That's the guy I played. Bishop takes h3. I never thought about that move. I think bishop takes h3, you can just, I think that might lose, because I think you just trade rooks and then win the bishop, right? Yeah, and white's just winning, I think. I think white just wins there. Yeah, it's bishop e4. Bishop e4 is the only move that wins, but it's like really hard to see why. Because this is what I evaluated. I thought that after takes and he hits my rook, that I have to maybe move the rook and then he takes this, and now he has two minor pieces for the exchange, which is normally winning for the side that has two minor pieces. The issue is that after bishop e4, if he takes it, check, when he attacks my rook, I have a check. That's the winning combination. Yeah, I didn't see this check. When I was, like, I saw bishop e4, and I just, for some reason in my head, like right after king g2, I just immediately disregarded it, which is that's not good. Like, we got to see these. We see those, you know? Like, we got to see those. That's not good. So, because I didn't play that, it actually became equal now. Like, I actually gave you a chance to get back in the game. I played bishop e5, which is a move. It actually likes bishop c5 a little better, but apparently bishop e5 is just a draw. It's just a draw on the spot. Because and I saw this, but for some reason I thought I had something. I saw bishop f4, but I thought I had something. I thought I had something there. Like, I thought that maybe I can just go back. Why is that losing? Because the problem is I can't, so I was calculating this, but now you just win. You just win. I think I saw this and mentally facepalmed. Well, you saw bishop e4 check? I saw it too. I just didn't think it was working, man. That's annoying. So now bishop f4 just draws on the spot, apparently. So rook b1. And then let me turn the lines off again. Turn these lines off. So rook b1. What did I play here? So the problem is I want to get my bishops, like, out. Like, I don't like the fact that, like, both of my rooks are behind my bishops. But right now, obviously, he's threatening b7, so I had to defend b7. And I was debating, I didn't know whether I wanted to do that or play b6. I was looking a lot at b6 here because, like, you know, bishop c8, and then if I can get my bishop on this diagonal, like, I feel like that's some problems. I went for bishop c8 because it's more flexible. Like, you can't move pawns backwards, so I can always play b6 when I feel like it. You know, so I just played bishop c8. He played knight here. And then, I thought I played a good move here, but I don't think it's the best. I just played d4. Blocking, so basically, obviously, I'm just trying to take this, right? I'm just trying to take it. But the problem is he starts to get some counterplay with this knight when he goes knight e2. And I played rook f2, which I'm pretty sure is like one of the engine's top moves. The problem is, like, what I'm trying to do here is what I calculated is knight takes and rook g8. And it wasn't until after I played rook f2 that I realized I can't play rook g8. Like, I can't play it, because if I play rook g8, he has a check. And then this was another big moment in the game where I started to think a lot, because I have so many options here. So many options. The engine really likes king a8, and I looked at king a8. The reason I didn't like king a8 is because I looked at this, check. Oh, the reason I didn't like king a8. Wait, why didn't I like king a8? Oh, I didn't like king a8 because he pins me. I didn't like this at all. I didn't like this at all. Somehow the engine likes it. I didn't like it at all. So I went for bishop d6, which is another engine move. Like, it's like king a8 and then bishop d6. So he played... Oh yeah, he moved the rook first. He moved the rook first. And then... I played rook g8 because I have time to play rook g8. And now he got tricky here. He played knight c6 check, and I didn't see any of this. I thought my king just moves, and I was like, what are you doing, bro? I was like, what is this? He actually took on a7. And this is like kind of tricky, because if I just take back, I just lose immediately. He just wins my rook. So I didn't take it. I checked him. I made him step into the pin, and then I played h6. And the engine says there's other moves, but like, how do you not play h6? No, I think I took the knight first. Yeah, I forgot about that. So you have to take the knight first. He checked me, I go back, and then and now I play... Oh yeah, so I was trying to set up h6 actually. I was trying to set up h6. He did this, and he kind of prevented it, because now h6, like, even though the piece is like pinned, even though the piece is pinned, like, he has two pieces defending it, and I'm just, like, basically I was just looking for checkmates here, because he started to get low on time. So I played bishop c7, just hitting his rook, basically. Seeing if he wants to move it. He didn't move it, he just moved his king. And now I played bishop h3 check, king e1, and now I played h6, because if he moves the bishop, I just have checkmate. He found bishop e3, and I can always take this rook with check, but again, I'm just looking for checkmates because he's so low on time. So I just played rook e8, and then it was in this position that he just had enough. He resigned. Or I think he flagged, actually. I like to write down the times, like when I'm writing down notation. Yeah, so I had 11 minutes, and he had 0 seconds, it looks like. He actually just resigned. Or not resigned, but he flagged.